Really like where we're at right now in camp, special teams wise. We're definitely on track with our installs for all units. We've got situations that we're covering day by day and really focusing on the techniques and everything that we do. What we want to be able to do is when we have to change schemes, we can rely on the exact same techniques from week to week. And again, that's been our emphasis right now. So I really like that. We've got some really good competition going on within the specialists themselves. We've been putting them in pressure situations every single day, and I like how they've responded. And I definitely think the offseason treated that room really well. I think we're stronger. I think we're more flexible, and the work that Mike Joseph and his staff has really shown up here in the first 7 days. Linebacker-wise, I like where we're at right now. Josh Chandler at Mike at the inside spot has had a really good camp. We moved him in from Will from last year. Again, another guy right now that had a heck of an offseason this summer with Coach Joseph and his staff. Gained weight, cut body fat, looks quicker. Like where he's at inside. Extra low, off to a good start in camp. Same thing, has gained some weight. Has played really well, played at a high level. Those two have the most experience, and that showed really well in the first week. Lance Dixon, the transfer that came in, joined us this summer. Really like his energy and like how he's quickly learned what to do. Definitely a different level right now from the guys that have played more football here within this defense, but every day is grasping the scheme and the techniques, and they are different than what he's done in the past. So I like where he's at. Deshaun Stevens at the other Mike position, other transfer that we had that came in from Maine, grad transfer, different body type than what we've had in the room, bigger kid, but has played inside the box. Again, like where he's come in the first 7 days, he's picking up the scheme. If he does make a mistake, usually it's fixed the very next day, understands where we're trying to go. And that's really what you want in day 7 of camp. You want guys that they're going to make full speed mistakes, but they're going to get them corrected as fast as they can. So I was really excited about that. And then we've got some young guys right now, James Thomas, DeVell Washington, who we moved over in the spring. And, those guys, they're really going through their very first fall camp. Last year was such a modified fall camp with our return to play model, and they kind of got weaned into it. And this is the first time they've really had to do the day-to-day grind of a fall camp, and they've responded. So I like where we're at overall in that room right now. We got to keep getting better. We had some coverage things that popped up today that are easy fixes, but I'm glad they happen now, and we'll get them corrected.
So stick with the transfers for a little bit. Do you watch some film of what they did to see maybe what scheme they used and what you have to teach them, and how different is what you're asking them from?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, in the recruiting process, I mean, really with those guys, it's just like recruiting a high school kid. You're going through the recruiting process. You're evaluating film. It's all available. You're looking at the scheme that they're playing in. For Lance, where he played, there was some carryover, but there are some things that are very different. And you kind of hit the nail on the head. I kind of knew what they were ahead of time, knowing what he was doing at Penn State, and we've addressed that. And on those things that I knew and that we addressed early on, he's actually been doing pretty good in that. Deshaun Stevens, kind of played an edge guy for a couple years and then moved to the inside his last year at Maine. So he has experience, kind of our bandit and our Mike, and that has showed up when he's rushed the passer. He has experience doing that. So there's some things that he's done that I really like. Some things in coverage for us, probably a lot more different than what he's done. So we've known that. We're working on that, but that's a great point. But no doubt, during the evaluation process, I had a really good understanding of what I was going to have to work on the most with those guys.
Exery mentioned the other day, he said he thought they needed to clean up communication. Yeah. Are you seeing that? Guys willing to talk and speak up when they need to?
100%. That was one of our points of emphasis coming into the camp is communication. And, today's day in college football, there's no stationary targets anymore. They're going to motion. They're going to give you formations that are into the sideline. They're going to give you multiple speed threats. You've got to be able to adjust your coverages and do it on the move when they're moving backs and they're moving tight ends. So communication has been an emphasis. We've been going with the secondary and doing the picture. But at linebacker, we talk about being the heartbeat of the defense, and we got to connect the front end to the back end. So not only with the coverage checks, but also the front checks to make sure that we're getting all the movement and the things that we do inside. So I would agree with him. That's something that we're continuing to work on, but I have seen improvement in that.
So a lot of the things that maybe when assignments are blown, it's because of communication?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's part of it. Some of it's assignment. Some of it is adjustment and communication with it. So at the end of the day, there's a lot of moving parts out there, and that's the great thing about camp. With the amount of walkthroughs, the amount of meetings, that's what you can do in those meetings, you know, and we'll go into meetings and I won't say a word. I'll say, all right, first group's up, run it. And they're in there talking, second group's up, run it. And I'm showing them a play, I'm running it back. They've got to make the call. They've got to make the adjustment. Same thing in the walkthrough, same thing in pre-practice. So, I mean, that's what this is about. The physical part of it, the camp itself has changed so much over the years. It's not about being out there for 7 hours because that's not the point. The point is the mental repetitions of it, and that's where you can work on that.
You mentioned the communication going this way along with your linebackers. What about front to back?
Absolutely.
You guys up front, your safeties, your...
Absolutely. I mean, being on the same page. And what you find is with that first group, you've got a lot of seasoned vets on the back end. You got Sean, you've got Alonzo, you've got Josh and Extra. Those guys have played together now for 2 years at least, if not more. So where you see a big difference is from that first group to that second group. And now you pull in, you got a younger guy, you got a new guy, you got a younger guy in the front, and that's where, and again, what I love to see is that first group, when the twos are out there, they're helping coach them. They're bringing those guys in and watching film with them, and they understand that there's a difference there too. It's experience. You know, I'm just glad right now in our room that we've got more experience. It might not be here, but with those two transfers, you've got more guys that have actually played in on the lights.
Collectively, what does your linebackers do best?
Right now, I think, you know, we're kind of a Swiss Army knife right now, to be honest with you, and that's kind of I'm not dodging your question, but we've got to do so many different things within this system. We've just got to make sure that we're accurate in our positioning within the scheme, and that's what we've done the best right now is that. We've had some communication things, but for the most part, our missed assignments in camp have been minimal. And that's to me, that's the best thing. We flashed as pass rushers. We have flashed in coverage. I think we're fitting the run better than we did at any point last year. I think we've been more consistent in our run fits than we were at this time last year, really at any point last year. So, you know, but being where we're supposed to be and fitting, I like where we're at this point.
In the way practices are structured today, any concern about tackling? I mean, you don't really...
Yeah, well... Yes and no.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I've always been a very firm believer, all right? 80% of tackling is angles. And you can work that without contact. You can work that without pads on. And if you watch it, a lot of missed tackles are overrunning the football. We did a non-contact drill today, and it was as intense as any drill that I've done all camp, but it was all about running angles and being inside out to the football and being able to get your body from a full speed to a under control position to be able to finish a play in space. And that's where the game has changed. Inside backers, there are no more thumpers. They've got to be able to make plays in space, just like an outside backer. It doesn't change. So I'm a firm believer. Sometimes your best tackling drills are 7-on-7 because that ball gets checked down and everybody's collecting to the ball and everybody has to make their angles and keep their leverage on the football. And if you do that, and I think that's why we had some success last year on defense, you know, Jordan had identified really early on from 19 to 20, angles was our biggest problem, and that's where the biggest jump was last year. Well, it's no difference in our approach this season.
So proper positioning is important.
100%. Proper position, your body position, position to the ball, your body position, and your eyes. 100%. You've got to have your eyes in the right place.
Just switching to special teams, Coach Brown described in the spring all the competitions you did, the small groups to identify guys. So now at this point in the fall, where are you in starting to identify, hey, these are our guys for each team, and when do you start narrowing that down and saying, okay, here's who we're thinking about putting out there and getting some work for them?
Yeah, well, like Coach said, you know, we put so much emphasis in that drill work and that competition work this spring, and we had live competitions, and it was intense. And we came out of spring and we said, okay, out of this information, we're going to develop the depth charts for each phase, and we're going to work on these guys. Well, we have stuck to that in these first 7 days. We're going to stick to that through tomorrow. Then after tomorrow, once we get some true live stuff in the scrimmage, then on Sunday we'll come in, and then we'll start kind of looking at, okay, here's where we're in spring, here's where we are after 7 days of fall camp, here's where we can maneuver some guys. Now, the other great thing, the thing that I love, some of your true freshmen. We did a competition drill yesterday. We had some guys that have been here for a month that stood out. So now you take guys from spring, and now you bring in a true freshman here, a transfer here, and now you're adding to it. We had them penciled into some areas, but now to see them go against guys that have done it in games and have some success, okay, now you can grow that. And again, you're growing your depth now on teams, and you'll see that all the way across the board. So, but we're going to stay consistent until at least through tomorrow.
Where do you see your biggest battles among the specialists?
Right now, I think Kickoff-wise, right now, we're getting our depth on our kickoff and getting our hang time. You know, we'd like to try to get that as close to the goal line as we can. We've got good competition on that right now. I think, you know, we've shown flashes of being where we want to be. That we gotta be more consistent on that. I've seen some improvement in our punts, distance-wise. Like I said, with the work that the offseason that we had with Coach Mike Joseph and his staff, I've seen better hang time. I've seen more distance on that. Field goal kicking, they've kind of taken turns having their day. Evan had a good day early on, hit a clutch kick. Today, Casey Legg hit a clutch kick. You know, Coach Brown's put them in pressure situations. Long snappers, same deal. You know, we've got to be consistent with those guys. We've got 2 new guys that are fighting it out. We've got a heck of a competition right now with them. So I'm really pleased with how they are all competing right now. You know, consistency is key, but we're going to see as we continue to put them in pressure situations who's going to rise up on that.
If 2 guys are just so close, like take long snappers for example, that you know you're looking at it and you can't determine what ends up being the determining factor.
We're going to make sure there's a determining factor. That's the answer, to be honest with you. We chart everything, and it's the precise location, we time everything. I mean, it's almost impossible to say, it's a dead heat. No, there's going to be a difference. Now, what you got to understand, 1/10 of a second on a long snap, that's a lot. And it's very easy to find a difference in that. So, you know, they're going to be put in those situations, and whether it's short snaps or long snaps, the location, the velocity is paramount, and that's charted precisely, and both in pressure situations and in just normal charting. So, and then you put that over a consistency of 2 weeks, you're going to find a winner on that, and they know that, and they've done a good job competing.
Jeff, I'm going to take you a little different direction. I understand, I believe you have a history with Field of Dreams.
I do.
Just scour Twitter, you find everything. So walk me through that story.
No, it was awesome. So I got married 10 years ago. It was my 10-year anniversary. And I actually got married. My wife is from the state of Iowa. I got married in Dubuque, Iowa, which if you watched the game last night, which is where a lot of the Fox announcers and a lot of the teams, I think that's where they stayed. We got married on the Mississippi River. We got married at 4 o'clock. And I had an objective right now to keep my groomsmen busy during the day. So we went to Dick's Sporting Goods and got a wooden bat, went out to Field of Dreams, which was about a 45-minute drive. I had my whole family that traveled out to the wedding and all my groomsmen. We went out there, and the stadium that was in the game last night obviously wasn't there. That was all built in the last 2 years. The original house, the original field, they really haven't touched that, and they've had it open to the public since the movie was filmed. It was a Friday morning. We got married on Friday. It was wide open. There was like 6 people out there. We basically went out there and did BP for about 4 hours. We could have stayed out there all day, but I wasn't going to be late to my wedding, so I probably wouldn't be married right now if I did that. But it was a special day. We had our photographer. We did pictures of the guys coming out of the corn. It was a great memory. So I did see it last night. We did watch the game, and it was very nostalgic for my wife and I.
Anybody hit it into the corn?
No, we did not have any heavy hitters that day. I put all my groomsmen on blast, but no, we didn't.
Relatively close to each other in New York.
Crazy.
Do you guys know each other prior to here, or is this kind of the first place you guys crossed paths?
No, we had never met before. So I'm older than Andrew, than AJ. We grew up literally 20 minutes apart in the Hudson Valley, him in Middletown, myself in Walk Hill. I come from a coaching family. My dad was a high school head coach at his alma mater where I grew up. My uncle was the high school head coach at a neighboring school. My uncle coached against AJ when AJ was in high school, and he remembered him. So AJ kind of knew the Koonz name because of the coaches in the area when he was coming up, even though my dad and I had moved off because I'm a little bit older. But we talk Section 9 stories all the time. That's the area of high school football there. And actually, week 1 in that state, those schools are playing against each other. So we've had some friendly banter in the staff room.
Yeah, my wife's from Middletown.
Oh, there you go.
So
Yeah.
all that connection
Yeah. So Burke is playing Burke and Goshen. They're playing Walk Hill week 1. So like I said, we've been kind of ribbing each other a little bit.